Howdy folks, how's it going? Pardon me as I'm kind of being blinded by the sun going down here. I'll try not to squint too much. So it is a commonly held spiritual viewpoint that our suffering is essentially the result of a gap between that which we want and where we actually are. So we are wherever we are, experiencing whatever we're experiencing. And suffering is a result of yearning, desiring, wanting something that we don't have. And so we are not content in the moment because we desire, we yearn for, we're looking for, seeking something out there that we do not have within ourselves at this moment. And so the mainstream cultural viewpoint, especially these days in our consumerist culture, is that the answer then is to go for what you want. Whatever you want, try to get it. And then when you get it, then you'll have what you want, and then that will solve this conundrum of that gap between what you have and what you want, and then you'll be happy. And then as a alternative spiritual perspective, then many spiritual teachers will say, no, that is false. The way to deal with this gap is to eradicate your desires. And then you won't want what you don't have, and then you will be just happy with whatever you do have. And in my opinion, then this is a false choice. And in fact, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Because we do have desires, we have genuine desires of our soul. It is a integral, intrinsic part of our nature to desire to be within love. That we don't want to be separated from love. We want to be in a space of love. Like that is just at the core of our being. And no matter how hard you try and may convince yourself that you have achieved your goal of eradicating all desire, in my opinion, then that can only be an act of denial of your true essence. That, even if you may have finally convinced yourself, I don't care what happens, I am content with whatever circumstance I am in, that ultimately that is a state of being in resistance and opposition to your true nature, because the true nature of the soul is in fact to have desires. Now, offering two perspectives and saying that actually the truth is somewhere in the middle is not my idea. Somebody else came up with this a while ago, and it's called the middle way, as talked about, laid out by the Buddha. So in the book Siddhartha, then it tells the life story of the Buddha, and he goes on a path of asceticism, of self-denial for many years. Sitting and meditating in the cold, in the dark, in a meadow or whatever, where he's freezing cold, and just being with whatever is, and finding contentedness within that. But then at some point he starts to realize that there's something off with that way of living, and so he goes the whole other way, and he goes a path of gluttony and searching for pleasure, and eventually he then realizes, well, that's not the way either, and so he finds a balancing point between those two different approaches. So this isn't my idea here, but still, even within the Buddhist philosophy, is this idea of, cool, that's the first time I've been full-on buzzed by a dragonfly like that, right in my face. So still prevalent within Buddhism and many spiritual viewpoints is this idea that we have to get rid of the ego, that we have to get rid of our desires, and that is the ultimate solution to our problems. And so as I see it, then you need to be working at both ends, basically. It is both a matter of transforming the self and lessening your desires, because absolutely our current culture is so focused on materialism and power and success and progress and the next big fancy invention that's finally going to make our lives so easy and convenient, and this whole drive for consuming something out there in the world is a huge distraction from the inner quest. And yet we do live in a physical world. We have physical needs and wants and desires, and to purely and completely focus inwards and totally deny the outer world is a act of not recognizing reality, in that you are living in the physical world, and the physical outside world is part of our experience. And so I see it as working at both ends of seeking to work on the self, go within, do your inner work, finding those aspects within oneself that you are denying and distracting yourself from, and working with that so that your state of contentment and peace and happiness is more a matter of your inner state of being, so that you can hold that space in many different circumstances. But that does not mean that, in my view, you can ever reach a state of mind, a state of being, in which you don't care at all what happens. You don't care if a lion jumps on you. You don't care if you fall off a cliff. You don't care if you're surrounded by a bunch of rowdy, rambunctious, drunk, annoying people who are making fun of you and spitting on you and etc. That you can try to convince yourself you don't care, but deep in our souls, then we do care about our environment. We do care about the energies of our surroundings. We do have a desire for certain circumstances in life, of a living space that reflects our inner state of being, and clothes that feel comfortable to us, and to be surrounded by people who have a similar outlook and who inspire our positive joy and cause us to learn and grow and etc. So I wanted to make a point here about desires and that which we desire. And that is that anything that you desire, you deserve to have. But keep in mind that all desires are about a feeling. If you want a car, it is because that car makes you feel a certain way, or makes your life convenient in a certain way that enhances your state of being, your experience of being in the world. You want a woman that you really like. It is because she makes you feel a certain way when you're around her. You want to eat certain types of food because you enjoy the feeling of the taste of those foods and the way that they make your body feel. And so really all that we're after is we just want to feel good. We just want to feel content, at peace with our state of being, with our place in the world. That's all we want, is we just want to feel good. And there are certain things that we have become fixated and focused on as something that we think is going to make us feel a certain way. And this is true, to an extent. So it's really just a matter of finding that balance between inner and outer. And recognizing and having compassion for the reality of your soul wanting certain things, and then finding that that ability to see more clearly within yourself as to when you are desiring something as a distraction from how you really feel. You want to go get drunk because you feel crappy and drinking will make you feel better. Or you have this obsessive fixation on getting a sailboat because you think that a sailboat is what is finally going to meet your needs, and you have this vision of being out on the ocean with the wind in your hair, and you think that is going to solve your lack of happiness in this current moment. Recognizing when you are focused on something in the outer world as a distraction from the lack of finding your true happiness within yourself, versus when you're seeking things in the world out of curiosity, interest, creative visions of you want to experience this or that just to see what it's like, just to have that experience, to complement your own inner happiness, just to be able to find that clarity within, to be able to recognize what kind of a space are you coming from as you seek various things in your life. Are you trying to distract yourself, or have you done that inner work and made those inner transformations to the extent that you're open to the universe, you are meeting life head on with little expectation of what is necessarily going to take place, but you'd like to experience this or that, and so you're going to go for it. Because movement, there is being and there is movement, and movement is part of the experience. And so movement is always moving towards something or away from something. And our goal in life is not to just 100% be and not do and move somewhere. So that's the ultimate balance point there between being and doing, action and soaking up the moment, that inner and outer balancing point. And then one last thing that I wanted to say here is speaking directly to the title of this video of the folly of eradicating the ego, is that as I see it, then it isn't about getting rid of your ego, but it's about merging your ego with the divine, with the universal consciousness. That you can never eradicate your ego, because your ego is simply your true experience of being a separate individual. And if you are overly focused on that separateness, then that leads to egoic activities in which you think that you are a separate being, that you don't recognize the oneness of all things, and that other people are simply a reflection of yourself and are another self, as you are a self to them, even as you appear to be other to them, that we are all simply self. And so it is a fallacy to seek to eradicate the self, to seek to eradicate the ego, because all life is simply self. Having this illusory experience of being separate, of being a separate being, but within that illusion is truth, that we are in fact having a genuine experience of separateness, and that was the plan. That is a valid perception of being separate, even if it is a temporary state, even if it is illusory. in some sense. And so the goal is to be chipping away at that separation space between yourself and all that is, and be slowly and steadily merging yourself back into the divine flow of life, as opposed to seeking to eradicate yourself because of misunderstandings around the concept of oneness and separation. There is oneness of all things at some level, but not at all levels. And so at some level we are in fact separate based on our beliefs and energy, but that energetic phenomenon is also real in a sense, and so we have to work with that and not kid ourselves about the reality of who we are and what we genuinely desire in our lives. So thanks for watching. Definitely a beautiful day here in a nice meadow with dragonflies and clear blue skies here after a number of days of clouds and rain. So, all right, take care. Have a good one.